How do you fix yourself first before fixing the relationship?
Brannon, good to see you this morning.
Hey, you too. It's good seeing you.
You too, man. How was your
Yeah.
weekend?
Was good. You had quite the eventful weekend, it sounds like. I don't know
We
if you
did.
want to talk about it, but
We oh, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. We just trying something different this weekend. Me and Chase Brannon, who's our one of our best
Chase is the
friends, and
man.
yeah, and then one of my other therapists. We got together and kind of researched some things and tried to do a sweat lodge this weekend, and in the snow in northern Utah. And it was awesome, man. We had a really, really cool, really great experience. So,
Um, Dang. Yeah.
yeah.
You never know what you're gonna be doing. So I love it.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about it. Maybe not on the show here, but
Yeah. It was,
yeah.
it was, it was cool. It was a really cool experience,
Were you
actually.
like dripping sweat? Were you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you wore deodorant before you got in there.
No, yeah. It was really
Do you
cool. It
do
was a really
that
cool
like in the
experience all the way
buff?
around.
Like, are you like totally naked or
We
did
didn't
you
we didn't quite go that
did
far.
you have like a little loincloth on or what
We
did you wear?
no no
Oh,
we didn't make a mockery of anything like that.
no, I wasn't saying
Um,
make a mockery, but I'm just curious, you
Yeah,
know.
no, we did. It's I was like in swim trunks, and
Oh, okay.
we
Okay.
were we were kind of on like a sort of like a public camp area, so I don't think you want people running around in the buff out there, and that's really not probably what I do anyway. So,
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that sounds awesome though. Like
yeah,
I love, just looking for uh ways to connect to the earth, to God, to like it really is awesome what you did. Like it's amazing. I know we're laughing, but um we're always looking for things that will help with healing and help with connection. So,
what I
and that's
can tell
that's what
you
you
is
did.
that I don't know, jury's still out in terms of like all the therapeutic benefits because it took us so long to figure it out and to build it, and that we didn't really get to do the full experience. But I can tell you that the brotherhood that I felt with the two guys that were with me is stronger now, and that we had a shared experience together that drew us closer together. And
You went through
we
something together.
we were sitting there, it's a Sunday afternoon. I just got done teaching in my church, and then went out there with those guys for it would actually turn into most of the evening because of how far we had to hike and the building and stuff. But we were sitting around the campfire afterwards, and I was just saying to them like how amazing it is to be here in nature next to a creek while it's snowing with two other guys that I love. And I felt like in some ways a part of me had opened back up to being like a little boy again. Like it was three kids out in the woods building a fort kind of a thing,
Hmm.
but it had more meaning to it than that. And I said, this is awesome. Like, why don't we do this more often? And one of the guys I was with said, yeah, it's kind of weird that we think I said, nobody else right now in Logan, Utah is doing something like what we're doing right now.
Right.
And one of the other guys was like, we're not the weird ones. Like it's weird that that a bunch of other groups of guys aren't getting together on a regular basis and doing meaningful things together.
Yeah, that's a good point. How
And he's
isolated are we?
our world is so
Yeah.
different now, and not all the way healthy all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I know I'm rambling. We could go on a tangent for a
Tyler,
long
you get
time.
together with your boys and sweat lodge it. I golf, but
Yeah,
you sweat lodge. Hey,
whatever works.
no, actually I really do want to go sweat lodge. I want to try that and do it with you. So,
Yeah,
um, well, let's get to our guest today.
sounds good.
We have Anton with us all the way from Sweden, which is awesome. Anton, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
If
Thank
you could
you.
just give us a little bit of background and tell us what's going on, and we'll go from there.
So I need to basically fix myself before I can fix my relationship with my partner. Um, Everything began really in October, November, when I was out with the boys, and I was looking at a beautiful woman. But when I got home, later that night, evening, you could say, my partner looked through my phone and saw me texting to my boys that I was looking at another woman. So I really need to switch my thinking, kinda, from mentally cheating, I could say, to mentally stable, kinda. Um,
Okay.
that's that's about it.
Can you give some more detail? Like, when you say
Um,
you're looking at another woman, like, did you just like
mm,
sit in the thought for a while, or like you say, you were texting your friends
um,
about it?
yeah, we were at a restaurant, and we were waiting on our food like usual. And I was just looking around. I had a friend right next to me, and I had one that was in front of me. Um, and when the guy right to me started to talk, I looked over at him. I saw a beautiful woman sitting next to him on the table over. And that's when I noticed her. It wasn't any sexual thinking or any sexual thoughts about her. It was just, oh wow, she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of looked like my partner. Um, Brown
Okay.
hair, nice jawline. Um, but nothing sexual thoughts about her. Just the mentally looking at her where it
Okay.
was that was the only thing I did. I was just looking at her, and I texted my buddy and saying that, oh wow, she's beautiful.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so then that goes home. And how long have you been with your partner when you were in
Um,
October?
at that point, we've been together for 2 years and 10 months, I think it is.
Okay.
At first, she did change her mind because that was the point we broke up. Um, but then we do live together in an apartment, and she changed her mind at first, saying, "Okay, I do apologize for my behavior, and I'm going to give you another chance, kinda." Um, but it wasn't officially we're together again. It was more like, okay, we live together, we have to go through this together, um, kind of situation. Um, but then she came home one day and and it was like 1.5 weeks ago. And she said, okay, I don't think I want to give you another chance. I want to break up and never get back to you again, and sell the apartment.
Hmm.
So that was
A
in October. That was in October, but then a couple weeks later, it kind of became finalized.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Oh, a couple weeks
I'll
ago.
go,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I imagine you're pretty heartbroken right now. Is that how you're feeling?
Um, yeah, I feel heartbroken. I totally am. But now when I've got back to work, and I'm going to start practicing again. I work in construction, and I've been sick for a week, and I just got back. Same with the hockey. I play hockey, so
Hmm.
I think hockey and work gets me like out of the situation, type. So that's not when I've focused about the heartbreaking thing.
Gotcha.
Um, but it's from time to time at work. Like sometimes it's okay. I do feel the heartbreaking thing now, but 10 minutes later, that's just gone away, and I'm just focused at work.
Nice. It's good you have things.
Yeah.
Um, do you think that the breakup and everything that's happened with her, that it was just that incident that caused all of this?
No, not particularly. She's she's pretty upset with some social media things. Just a side note, I've been following friends, other women, on my Instagram, and she noticed that uh, a while back, and she didn't like it. So I made the choice to unfollow every single woman that was on my Instagram, except for the um, women that she knows. She made
Gotcha.
it pretty clear that I'm not going to like half naked pictures of other women. Um, so it's small stuffs or smaller things that she's she's getting back in her head again. Um, but this was kind of big stuff, big thing for her that I texted my buddy saying another girl was beautiful.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Would it have been different, Anton? Like, I'm wondering if you were out in public with her and you would have
Yeah,
seen the same and would have seen the same woman, would it have been an okay
yeah.
conversation for both of you to say like, "Oh, wow, that's a beautiful woman"?
No, it wouldn't. Not in her perspective, because in her perspective, it's more of uh, I should be the only girl in your whole world that you are looking at, except if we have a daughter, or if it's my mom, my sister, or any of like friend type.
Sure, sure. And I guess what that's you're starting to see what I'm trying to tease out and get at. It's like,
Mm,
if I went out in public and both my wife and I saw a woman that was beautiful, we could acknowledge that and move on. That's different than what I think she's feeling, at least, which is that you're not
mm,
just looking at a woman and going like, "Oh yeah, she's beautiful." You're clearly looking at a woman, and then the fact that you texted your buddies afterwards sort of illustrates a different kind of energy, which was like an outward
mm,
looking energy of, "Oh man," almost like a pursuit form of energy rather than a noticing kind of an energy.
mm.
Uh, let let me I mean let me go down where Tyler's going here too, but I just want to
Yeah.
ask you directly and kind of I might this might sound like a stupid question, but what's the problem?
The problem is, I don't think the problem is with me, but it's more of, of her. But I need to learn to like just. It's only her in the world. She's the whole wide world, kinda.
The question is if we talk about Anton getting healthy, is Anton getting healthy mean that you kind of put the reins on the where you can't see anything or you're completely focused on her and that's it? Is that Anton being healthy?
Um,
Or is Anton being healthy, not being codependent to her, being really honest with her, being really open with her, and being just really authentic with who you are?
I
Um,
think the honest part. I think that's the problem.
you haven't been honest with her.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, what would honest look like?
To be more open with her.
Okay,
To I think open, more
Well,
open to her.
open, there's a difference though. Like I think we got to be really careful here because
Yeah.
there's a difference between I've got a tattletale on myself to her about all of
Mm,
my everything that I think and do, and I got to make sure that I'm making sure that I'm tattletaling on myself versus being an authentic person who's like, hey, there's parts of me that are
mm,
absolutely there, and I'll be open that those parts are there.
mm,
And I can manage them unto myself, you know. And if I don't, if I break certain lines, then you absolutely have a right to know. But I just need you to know that these parts are absolutely there. And I'm not
mm.
going to disclose to you every little tiny thing that happens. Like that doesn't work for me. I can let some things go and I can move on. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, I do.
What what, Anton, if you're saying this is one of the key pieces, then is it's the honesty piece. What prevents you from that honesty?
Um, I've opened myself up too much with my ex. This was like 4 years ago. I told her a story about me, and when we broke up, she used that against me, saying, "Oh, you're a horrible person because you've done this and that." Um, so I think that's one key part to why I'm not more opened. If that makes sense.
Yeah, if I'm hearing you right, basically there was a time fairly recently in the last few years where you were open with some of your vulnerable information with different parts of yourself
Mm,
that felt vulnerable, and
mm,
in the end it got used against you and it caused you some
yeah,
pain. And so now in this new relationship, you've been more guarded with who you really are,
yeah.
trying to protect yourself from getting rejected, but then never actually really probably getting what you're looking for because you can't be
Mm,
yourself.
mhm,
Yeah, I wonder how safe that relationship is for you to be you. And if unless you play along, you're gonna get rejected.
mm,
Did you hear what I just said? And
yeah.
If Anton is Anton, um, like you're gonna get rejected. And so your heart's breaking because you love this girl,
Mm,
but at the same time, well, you have to like fake it in order to be loved by her. That's what I wonder. Um, because like how Anton, when you were first attracted to girls, how old were you? Like just give me a rough estimate.
I think it all started in puberty, like 15, around
Okay,
that age.
14, 15. How old are you now?
I'm 22, going to
You're
be
22.
23.
And you met her 2 years ago,
I'm in October, November. It will be 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So what you're telling me is your attraction to women started and was there long before you met her.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you met her, why didn't you just turn that off? Why don't we just flip the
But
switch and turn it off?
I did turn it off when we started to see each other. But it's what can it be, like half a year ago. We moved in together, and
So when you
that's
first
when it
when
all
you
started.
hang on, Anton, when you first started seeing her,
Mm,
you weren't attracted to any other women. It just was
no,
just her, just 100%
it was
only her.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was.
And so like if there was a beautiful woman or whatever, you wouldn't even notice.
No,
No.
I wouldn't.
Okay. That's pretty remarkable.
Mm,
That's like the first time I've ever heard that. Um, because the reality is we get fidelity completely wrong. Fidelity is not
mm,
about, and we've talked about this quite a bit. Fidelity is not about attraction. As human beings, we have this innate important part of us that is about attraction.
Mm.
And it's interesting. Like, I think texting your buddy, you probably went too far, but you're saying it
Yeah.
wasn't even sexual. Like, it
No.
wasn't even like, she's a beautiful woman. And for you to acknowledge that she's a beautiful woman is not cheating on your girlfriend.
No, but
Um,
she says that it's mentally cheating. I didn't do anything physical.
and
It
what
was
what
just
what I'm saying
my
is
thoughts.
what I'm saying is that is not, and I know that's triggering to partners. I know that's hard to hear. That is not mentally cheating. That is reality. That is
Mm.
reality. If you walk down the grocery store aisle and there's magazines and they put beautiful people all over those magazines for a reason, people notice those beautiful people. Um, and that's part of life. Now, fidelity is about being authentically you and her being authentically her, and knowing we're committed to each other, knowing that, hey, with your sexuality and with relationship, what does it mean to be committed to each other? It doesn't mean like pretending like things aren't going on behind the scenes. It doesn't mean fitting into a box so that you can protect them from their own triggers around sexuality and fidelity.
Mm.
Are you following me, Anton?
Yeah, I am
Do I sound do
100%.
I sound crazy?
No,
Brannon,
you speak common sense.
Brannon, I think there's some nuance to what you're saying, though, and this is important that we try to parse this out a little bit because if we're sticking with the idea of fidelity, I might be geared a certain way. I might have certain energies. I might have been attracted to girls since I was 13, and that's never changed. And of course, you're going to notice the magazine rack or the beautiful woman at the store or whatever. If I understand and if I'm honest with myself, I know that I have that kind of an energy. And if I choose to be in a relationship with somebody and I want to have fidelity in my relationship, then by being honest with myself about what I'm attracted to and what my drives are, I then might make choices that are going to help facilitate fidelity based on the truth of how I am and how I operate.
Exactly.
And what
Well,
you're saying is that we'll either go one way or the other, where it's like, well, it's just me. Like I'm gonna go and text the boys and talk about the beauty of that woman and all the parts of her body, or we're gonna go the other way and be like, nope, shut it down. I can't feel anything. What woman? I didn't see any woman at all. And in reality, the middle ground of fidelity is, hey, this is me. And because I know this is me, I'm not gonna follow every fitness model on Facebook because that would be putting me on the fringe of not respecting
but
fidelity in relationships. What Anton did here, it makes sense. Like, look at his partner, like that. I can see why she would feel like that would be an infringement on the possibilities of fidelity, especially if he was hiding it.
but what is not an infringement is, I need you to just be attracted to me. Like, that's a problem in the relationship. That will cause problems in the relationship. I actually agree with you 100%, Tyler. The trust in the relationship is built by the partner knowing that you can control and handle your sexuality on your own.
And
That's
I
where
will.
that's what trust is. It's not Trust is not about compliance or like trying to fit within a box in order to make sure that your partner's never triggered. Like that you will never actually have full trust in that system.
Yeah. In the example that Anton gives, Brannon, he basically went and unfriended all of the women in his social media. If he chose to do that because he knew in himself that he would go and start going into lust and fantasy and seeing these images and kind of turning on those parts of himself outwardly, then he was wise to go and turn that off and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. If he was looking around and going like, uh-oh, is my girlfriend going to be mad at me? And like, what's she going to think of it? And then he hurried and went and turned that all off. He'd be doing it for the wrong reasons because he
Yeah.
wouldn't be being authentic
Well, and then she realizes I'm with a weak man who will just do whatever I say because of my fear.
because I'm around.
Yeah, versus a man that will be honest with me about like, hey, this one friend, like I'm just friends with her from whatever, and like there's no risk of anything there, and so I'm gonna leave her in my contacts, right? And that might be uncomfortable for the partner, but something like that would build trust.
It would build trust if there's also the boundaries to protect the relationship around that.
Right. Anton, I want to give you a scenario, which I probably
Yeah.
brought this up before, but it's kind of a funny scenario. But I had a guy years ago, and they were I brought this up before, but and people hate this one. Like partners are triggered by this, and it's difficult. But
Mhm.
they were on a boat. There's a girl at the front of the boat, and she was wearing these booty shorts, and she was intentionally like wearing something sexy, and like you would notice what she's wearing, right? And she's at
Mm.
the
Yeah.
she's at the front of the boat, and this guy is on there with his wife who's very triggered by that. And
Mm.
so he starts getting anxiety because he's like, "Oh my gosh, like everybody knows this is happening. This is there." He starts getting
Mm.
anxiety, and he goes down to the other side of the boat, and he sits and he just doesn't like look at it, right? Um and so like what happened in the end is she got extremely triggered. They were fighting and disconnected for weeks after that.
Mm.
Um, so on one hand, we could say if we're under a system of shame and all those things, we could say he did the right thing, right? He
Yeah.
he did he do the right thing, Anton? He went to the back of the boat and sat there, and he was like freaking out that, oh my gosh, like this is gonna not be good.
I
Did-
don't, for me personally, I don't think he made the right decision to go in the back of the boat. I think personally he would just try to stand with his wife around this girl and just try to control his mind to, okay, I'm not going to look at her.
But he's kind of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. If he just stands there
Mm.
and doesn't do anything, then what's his wife gonna do? Right? If he
Yeah.
goes to the back of the boat and he's like quivering in anxiety because of it, what's his wife gonna do? Well, you obviously noticed. Look at you, like you're
Mm.
acting like a weakling on the back of this boat,
Mm.
right? I actually like your answer, Anton.
I
Yeah.
actually like your
I
answer a
like your
lot
answer.
too.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Mm.
The point is like his control over his sexuality and his lust is he needs to own that. He needs
Mm.
like he it has to it needs to be something completely separated from his partner completely. So in that
Mm.
moment when there's a lust trigger in front of him, what does it mean for him to be in his integrity for him first and foremost? That's what's important. If his first thought is like, oh my gosh, I got to caretake for her, he's resonating in weakness. He doesn't know who
Mm.
he is. He's just worried about her. And what that will signal to her is that I'm with a man who doesn't know himself. I'm with a man who doesn't have strength. I'm with a man who
Mm.
doesn't understand who he is. And what do you know? Like she will not be attracted to him with that,
No.
right? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Could
Um,
I
Go ahead, Tyler.
could I just use like an analogy that was brought up by um, one of the members of my groups used this analogy. So shout out to you. I think it's a brilliant analogy. And this goes along with what you're saying, Brandon, is that my intention with what I do with my sexuality is solely in my boat, and I need to own that. And when I own that and then choose certain things, that's how I'm going to naturally build trust in relationships. But he said that he kind of views it like this, that our sexuality is actually a gift
Yeah.
if it's used properly. And so he likened it to gold coins. And you wake up every morning with a certain number of gold coins in your pocket. And you get to do whatever you want with those gold coins. You can spend it anywhere you want. You can go out into the public and just kind of like throw it at, like whatever you want. You might be out in public and you see something that maybe makes the coins jingle in your pocket for a minute, but once you recognize that it's jingling there, you get to decide, am I going to spend my coins there or am I going to spend them where they're going to produce something better for me? And certain places that I spend the coins, you might call lust, I'm not really going to get any return on my investment. It's truly going to be a consumptive kind of a spend. So if I go out into that public place and I'm with my buddies and I'm like, oh man, she's so da 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 da, man, what about this or this or this or this? You've just spent your gold coins and you had a good time with it, but there's nothing really to show for it at the end of the day. Whereas if you went out there and noticed that and the coins were jingling, but you're like, you know what? That's not where I spend my energy because I decide to focus my energy into this relationship that I'm currently in and I value that. I'm going to go spend my coins inside the relationship. Then there might be a return on investment where there's deeper connection, closeness, intimacy, trust, safety, and you get to be the one who decides how to spend that. Um, the key is you being the deciding intentional being around all of this. The key
Mm.
isn't to kill your sexuality. The key is to understand yourself and then make choices that will align inside the relationship that you want to have with somebody who also has their own values.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the power. So now you're a powerful being who understands yourself and makes choices rather than someone who's running around trying to hide and not be seen because you're afraid of getting rejected. Does that make
Anton,
sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense.
Anton, I'm gonna be a little blunt here, and this goes right
Mm.
with Tyler's analogy. And I want to come back to your analogy, Tyler, because I have something I want to ask about that. But I'm gonna be a little blunt. You got dumped not because of your
Yeah.
sexuality. You got
No.
dumped because of a lack of your masculinity.
Mm.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to rub
No.
it in,
You
but
could also, Brannon, incorporate integrity and honesty into the word masculinity.
right. Well, the same thing to me.
Mm.
I mean, that's one of the same. Strength within yourself and knowing who you are.
Mm.
That's why she's like, I don't know if I can be in a relationship with you. Now, I don't know her trauma and I don't know her past. And maybe part of her trauma and her past is all about rejection and abandonment. And it's like, I can't be in a relationship with a partner that has sexuality at all. So, like, but that's hers. That's her work to
Mm.
do and figure out. You might have not had a chance to stay in a long-term relationship with her regardless, Anton. But your like what needs to be worked on is you trusting yourself, you knowing yourself.
Mm.
Um do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see the difference?
Yeah. Yeah.
Strength. Um
Self acceptance,
Yeah. And
choice.
I've had a problem with strength and things like that before. I I did fall in a depression 4 years ago,
mm,
and my girlfriend that I I'm with now, that I'm living with, um, that dumped me.
mhm,
She actually helped me go through my depression.
mm,
Um, so she was a key thing for me to like keep my chest up, my head up, and just keep going no
work
matter
through
what.
it. Work through it.
Mm,
I can tell she
yeah,
means a lot to you.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's painful. Like it's painful to go through things like this and to possibly lose
Hmm.
somebody that you love. And you know what Tyler and I are saying to you, Anton, like I hope you can feel from us that we're
Hmm.
trying to fight for you in terms of
Yeah.
like in terms of figuring out what's actually needing to be worked on so that you
Hmm.
can have a relationship with a woman that truly does support you and love you. And maybe it's her, maybe it's not her.
Hmm.
Um, so I do, Tyler, I want to come back to your analogy. I think one thing that's really important, and Anton, this kind of speaks to your question, is You talk
Mm.
about Tyler, you talk about spending those coins. I think it's important to really understand what it means when you actually buy, so to speak, when you actually spend it. Because in our world, if I have this load of coins and there's like triggers walking past me or all around me or whatever, it doesn't mean that I gave my coin up just because someone walked in front of me. Um,
Right.
it
Right.
and but when someone walks in front of me, my natural reaction might be, wow, like I have traction. There's traction there. So at what point is it giving your coin up, right? And that I think is important because a lot of times people with scrupulosity, anxiety, they think that they're just throwing their coins at the world. And it's like, dude, like you're actually like quite normal. This is okay. Like you're not sinning. This isn't a big deal. It's normal. Now, but there are lines that do get crossed where you are putting your energy and your effort into something that doesn't give you much return, right?
Yeah.
So
And that to me is it's the understanding inside myself that I know I'm not going to get a return if I keep pursuing X, Y, or Z, right? So if I'm walking around in the world, there's certain things that are going to just like you say come by, whether that's coming going of thought or some kind of a stimulus in my world or whatever, um, that are going to naturally remind me that I have coins in my pocket that I could spend. One way of looking at it, and there's probably a number of ways of looking at it, Brandon, would be that when I recognize that those coins are jingling in my pocket, I am now becoming aware. And that awareness then leads me to a point of choice. And I can say, okay, I can continue to spend my energy now that I'm aware and conscious of what's going on here. And I could go into fantasy and I could pursue some kind of scenario, or I could continue to follow, that person around the grocery store and just consume. And if I'm,
creepy.
well,
Yes.
if I'm making that choice, that's me spending my coins, right? Whereas if I go in the same scenario and I'm like, oh yeah, like, whatever, this, or this was attractive or interesting or whatever else, or I'm feeling that kind of like
Who makes that
bubble up
determination?
inside me. Well, of course, I have to become conscious of it and then make the choice. Now, there is a time when I could unconsciously be so in the habit of just spending my money all the time that I'm
Right.
never even aware that I'm not getting any return on my investment until I become conscious of it. In this case, Anton's in a different spot where he's actually extremely conscious of it. And now he gets a chance to choose. And he probably spent some coins in an unhealthy way, in a non-return kind of a way, when he texted his buddies and was like, "Oh, hey, da 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 da," right? Like he was channeling his energy to a different place than maybe he would have liked to if he was wanting to put it into his relationship.
Right. Right. So like that, yeah, with that example, Anton, if we look at that example, it's
Mm.
like seeing a woman that looks like your girlfriend. What do you know? Your arousal template, like you're attracted to a woman that looks like her, right? Like,
Yeah.
so seeing a woman like that is one thing. Like, oh wow, beautiful woman. That's
Mm.
right. At what point does Anton step outside of his integrity and indulge further, right? And now there's some hard evidence of like you text buddies like, hey, there's this hot girl, right? Like, so for you, Anton, like at what point are you outside of your integrity when it comes to your like fidelity and your commitments? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah. I think it's when I'm speaking my mind kind of thing.
Mm,
I'm saying to my buddies what I'm thinking,
mm-hmm,
basically.
mm-hmm. To, you were that conscious of it, right? And so it's like
Mm.
it was like very much there, that so much so that you could text and like acknowledge like, hey, like, and then you're trying to share it with buddies, right?
Mm.
So it's pretty obvious that you were fully aware of it. And so I can definitely see your girlfriend's trigger there. And but it's not about that.
Mm.
I could see you saying, okay, like if I'm committed to a woman in a relationship, I probably shouldn't linger that long and go that far. But
Mm.
that commitment is between you and God. That commitment is like your integrity. What is it like? And what does that look like for you? And I think you need to be very clear with that,
And
right?
also the payoffs or costs for those kinds of things too, you know, like
Yeah.
does it make a lot of sense? Like were you better off, better person, better man after you left the restaurant having let yourself go there? And if the answer is no, it's not a shame-based thing. It's not a I'm a bad kind of thing, bad
Don't
guy
beat
kind of
yourself
thing.
up.
It's more of like that wasn't really effective for my overall goals kind of thing. So now I'm going to choose to do something more effective because I want to have an effective life. Like, but
Mm.
take the shame out of it.
Yeah. And that's also one thing I've done, taking the shame out of it. Because when I talked to my therapist first about this whole thing, she said that yes, you did the wrong thing, but all men in your age do look at women, and it's a normal way or normal thing to do. But then to take the step even further is to, yes, you texted them and she noticed it.
So she said
But
the
what?
same thing as us.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did.
Um, Anton, we're running low on time, and the truth
Mm,
is, we've had a great discussion today. It's been awesome. Um,
mm,
but the truth is we haven't actually got down to the roots of what's really going on. Um, when you bring up your depression, when you bring up your just trying to be loved by this girl, like there's something underneath all of this. There's some kind of trauma, some kind of shame, some kind of pain that's
mm.
underneath all of that. And and I hope that you're doing the work to actually go address those things, to find some peace within your heart, outside of trying to get it from her or other people. Um, so you got some work to do, but the awesome thing is you're open to doing that work. You're
Yeah.
learning, you're looking for answers. Um, but there is some digging deeper that needs to happen.
Mm.
Anton, I guess just right now, do you have any other questions or what are you kind of currently feeling right now with our discussion?
I feel like it's going to help me uh, become stronger. What you guys said about masculinity and strength and integrity. I'm going to put that in my back pocket and really bring it forward to become the better person I am and to really learn about my mistakes that I've done in the relationship here.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, man. And I hope I hear that there's a heart that wants to learn and not a heart that just wants to
Mm,
criticize and beat yourself
yeah.
up.
Mm.
Um, yeah, man. I want to tell you thank you for coming to talk with us all the way across the world. What a
Thank you
treat.
for having me here.
It's a treat for us, man. Yeah, thank you for your willingness to put yourself out there. Um, and and I know that it's going to hit some nerves for people who are listening to this right now. So thank you for your willingness to come on and be honest about these things because it
Mm,
allows everybody a chance to have their own process start to take place.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Anton, and I appreciate you coming from Sweden. I love hockey. Keep the hockey going, man.
I will. I
That's
will. I
awesome.
promise.
Um, and don't be a stranger. Check in with us. We're here to help in any way that we can. And
I will.
yeah,
Definitely.
until next time, keep on keeping on.